whether it is snapping pictures of a new family member to share on social media, recording footage to upload for co-workers, or just a selfie for fun with friends. It cannot be disputed that digital photography has become standard to our modern way of living. And while we take for granted that pretty much anyone can produce a phone that is spilling over with pictures of fading memories and pets they adore, have you ever stopped to think what makes all of this possible? Well, even if you didn't, the answer is image sensors. And thanks to them, we are now able to capture high quality photos and videos more directly into a digital format for easy usage, instead of going through the cumbersome extra steps that we did historically. You see, kids back in the days of the ancient pharaohs, cameras used specialized light sensitive plastic substance to capture images projected on it through a lens known as film. Oh, excuse me, film. You took a roll of it to your local chemist who developed it and gave you physical pictures, which, if you wanted to upload to your GeoCities sites, needed to be scanned in a scanner. Now, instead of using films to capture images, today's digital sensors work hard to artificially mimic the transduction process of a biological eye, in order to do all this in a much more simpler fashion. Well, sort of simple. Transreduction, simply defined, is the conversion of one energy form into another. And whether this comes as a result of an organic or mechanical means is actually completely irrelevant. So, in a human eye, rod and cone receptors work in combination with ganglion cells to convert photons into electrochemical signals, which is sent to the optical lobe of your brain, which then processes it. In the case of an image sensor, photons are captured as charged electrons in silicon and converted to a voltage value through the use of capacitors and amplifiers, then later transfer it into digital code, which can be processed by a computer. While there are many ways of going about this, most sensors operate in a similar manner to one another, with the big difference that splits them being the way in which they process stimuli. All these many types, there are two which are more readily available and mature forms of sensor: CCD and CMOS. Charged coupled device sensors work by regeis during the photon rays in silicon, which contains a grid array of pixels. After electron charges are captured in this pixel array, they are processed from the bottom to the top of the grid into serial shift register and pushed out a single charge at a time to be converted into an analog voltage that is then transformed into coding by way of analog digital converters. Since these sensors operate by processing charges individually across all lines of an array, this system utilizes a respectable amount of power to function, but this also gives it the benefit of being extremely low noise due to minimized use of voltage amplifiers, often making them better for particular types of photos, such as aerial or space. This, of course, brings us to complementary metal oxide semiconductors, which are the type of image sensors most commonly found in consumer grade products. As I stated earlier, most image sensors operate in a general similar fashion. So what makes these different from CCD sensors? Just described is that instead of shuffling electron charges along an array to then be modified by extra circuitry has been added into each pixel, which allows it to do more or less all the processing. individually, with the signal then being sent directly down the line to the CPU. Since there is no gridlock to be managed in this operation, the power usage is actually reduced simultaneously, with the added benefit of an increase in the processing speed. Now, will both of these sensor types have done well and continue to develop in their own sort of respective specialized fields, that's not to say that there isn't any room for future improvements. Though modern sensors have been wise in taking their inspiration from biology, the processors which reconstruct the coded image sent to them have a ways to catch up if they want to give our brains a run for their money. I mean, you see, the current answer to improving image quality in electronics is to increase pixel count and fine-tune photoreceptor sensitivity, when the fact is that the eye we use to sit in judgment of all this stuff is correctly focused in a whopping 2% of our visual field, or about twice the size of your thumbnail at arm's reach. Meaning that the brain is doing a lot of work picking up the slack. But unless we want to resort to Xerox machines with us, whatever we wish to share our important images, then they'll just have to serve us. So guys, hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button and also don't forget to subscribe.